into another country? What's the most common mistake that you see among manufacturers?
The most common, although there are many mistakes, but first is lack of information on the requirements to cross the border, especially around standards. The assumption from the manufacturers, and I hope most of the people here are here in the morning, because the Kenya Association of Manufacturers is a business membership organization in Kenya for manufacturing value-add industries. And we're also partnering here with the Zambia Manufacturing Association just to make sure we are talking same language between SADC and East Africa. But some of the mistakes we see, especially small businesses, when doing cross-border trade, is first assumptions that the standards that work in Kenya will be easily accepted across the border. And then because of the announcements that we make, we pronounce that we are one Africa now, and we pronounce that the Africa Free Continental Market is open for trade. And we announce so many things, but we do not, as policymakers, actually break down how products will move, priority markets and priority products that will move without any tax or will move with certain standards. So you find a lot of products are stuck at the border because of various misunderstandings on expectations on standards and also customs. Sometimes it's announced that if you're in certain HS codes that you could actually access the market without any tax. But when you get to the border, you find your HS code is not necessarily what was anticipated there. So matters of documentation and where you place your product in terms of HS codes. So I'm just talking simple things. Sometimes it's a cost of transport that you didn't anticipate would rise because of crossing borders, and some of the transporters may not communicate to you that from this border point we are changing to another vehicle where there is not much control on costs. Sometimes delays, or probably your products are stuck at the port, and I'm talking all kinds of ports, whether airport or rail or even the seaports. You find some products get stuck for so long, the cost structure changes, you are not prepared for that kind of delay or barrier. Hence, you find that, or you don't have enough partnerships with people across the border who can handhold you and help you take your products to the other side and help solve the bottlenecks on the other side. So some of the products even expire at these border points. So cross-border trade, for the time being, has been assumed it's an SME's challenge, but also bigger companies sometimes experience this, delays in different border points, 7 days, 10 days, even 20 days delays. So those, and sometimes we don't anticipate such delays, and you find that you're unable to progress. Sometimes you don't have the right partners. We don't do much due diligence. Somebody connects you and says this is a good partner, but you've not known whether they actually are good for your product type. So you find, again, the partners you choose don't necessarily help you deliver, and your products get stuck in warehouses. So you've crossed the border, got an abundant warehouse or certain distributional outlets, but your products never reach the last mile. Again, you find that you are not prepared in terms of the kind of marketing and promotion that you need to get your products off the shelf. So sometimes we think exports is about just landing a shelf space in a certain place, but you've not thought through how you're going to do a lot of branding and promotion to get your products off the shelf. Because the shelves in the supermarkets or in the wholesale stores are other points of warehousing. They are not necessarily the market. So again, getting consumers to appreciate your brand, start consuming so that you can do repeat business and keep sustaining that market is another thing. Another mistake is you underestimate the market also. People might appreciate your product and you're not ready to meet the capacity in terms of volumes, pricing. So there are many mistakes that we could make that research and partnerships with local stakeholders can help us to access information that helps us to be more sustainable in how we do cross-border trade. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Mainza, I saw you nodding your head. I'm sure some of these are things which you find in your inbox with regards agribusiness. If I could just ask, what support is Zambia giving to local farmers so that they can compete with farmers in other African countries to get their goods on the shelves of other countries?
Thank you very much. So for the Zambian farmers, and when we talk about Zambian farmers, I refer to the smallholder farmers mainly, because the larger guys who are the commercial farmers, I think most of the incentives for them actually to come and set up investments and put in a lot of resources in agriculture, it takes them to have some certain understanding that this investment will have minimal to less barriers in terms of, for example, let me give one value chain like wheat. For them to get to start producing or rather growing wheat, they always have to ensure that they already have a prior engagement in terms of the off-taker. And when you have an off-take agreement, it includes the price of off-take, it includes the quantity, and even issues to do with acquiring of the permit and for you to be able to move and or rather export your commodity. So now, with reference to the smallholder farmers, that we mainly look after as a ministry and as government as a whole, is that for the smallholder farmers, what we've done is that we've realized that what they need at the center of everything is incentives to be able to make them understand that agriculture is one of the economic sectors that they need to put all their energies in, because there's a possibility of growing their incomes, starting from the household level, and even making agriculture as one of the contributors to the growth of the country's economy. So there are quite many more incentives. We've realized that financing for the agricultural sector is a challenge. How is it a challenge? It's a challenge in the region, and it's also a challenge in Africa as a whole. We're saying that finance which is available, it always comes quite high. It's expensive. It's not affordable. Accessibility is a challenge. And what we've done now as government, or rather as Ministry of Agriculture, is that we've tried to come together with the private sector, and we are looking at the financial institutions. These are the commercial banks, the microfins, to say, let's come together and find a way that we can actually try and, incentivize that sector so that they might also begin looking at agriculture as one of the best sector to lend their money to. So we've just moved in and tried to de-risk, okay, to try and de-risk it, so that it can also be attractive to the lenders who are the commercial banks. Then also we have tried to also move in as government. Actually, not just tried, but we are doing it. We've also subsidized certain areas. There's irrigation, which is also important. There's also mechanization, which is important. And there's also the issues of subsidizing the inputs. These are the main parameters that go into productivity. So we have also tried to incentivize the area where we're saying that if you are able to produce more than enough shall mean that you may produce for household consumption and then excess to be able to, to export. There's plenty of export markets. Actually, we are still looking for more export market. And we are happy today to have actually our colleagues from Kenya, because right now we're actually looking into Kenya as one of the destinations so that we can actually take our grain to. If Food Reserve Agents was here, they were going to make mention that actually we are sitting on huge numbers in terms of the white grain that we have, which actually we are still looking to export. Congo, I think, is getting flooded. Malawi, we've given, and still looking into Zimbabwe and others. So we are looking into the region, and just a week or 2 weeks ago, I think government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, made a pronouncement that any trader, okay, trader shall mean from an individual farmer, individual trader, or an entity, organization, that actually has market outside the country and willing to go and sell, you are at liberty. We even have a stand there where we're exhibiting as a Department of Agribusiness and Marketing, showcasing how we actually, give the permits to any trader who's willing. So it's good to have colleagues out there who are here that can even clinch deals with our local farmers, our local organizations who are able to aggregate the commodities and then you export. We are giving those permits. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mongo, I think it's very difficult for us in the context of farming to talk about inputs without zeroing in on fertilizer. Now, we know that NCZ has been taking steps to increase its capacity for production. How is this going to impact Zambia's ability to export? And also, what plans does NCZ have also to take advantage of the export market?
Okay, thank you very much. Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia Limited was the pioneer fertilizer manufacturing company established in 1967 and commissioned in 1971. So it was like a monopoly in effect, the only producer. Over time, there was need as the agricultural production was going up and demand for fertilizer was going up. There was need to recapitalize, and we did recapitalize and invested into 2 fertilizer manufacturing plants. We've got a state-of-the-art new blending plant with a capacity of 288,000 metric tons of basal dressing NPK fertilizer, and also a new granulating plant of with a capacity of 144,000 metric tons of fertilizer. So that gives you a combined capacity of 432,000 metric tons, up from 70,000 metric tons that we were doing in previous years. Now, we pride in quality fertilizer. We don't take chances. We do not compromise on quality. And we do know that a satisfied farmer is a farmer that will also help spread word around to other farmers, to bring more farmers, and is a farmer that will come back to buy. Now, quality fertilizer is an extremely essential input in increasing farm productivity or farm yield, as it were. And let's face it, you can only trade when you have a surplus, especially for food products like maize. You cannot sell when you don't even have enough to feed yourself. So when the farmers use our quality fertilizer, which gives them high yields, then they are able to produce in excess of their domestic requirements and pull together into trade. So our contribution is stepping up on the production of quality fertilizer, which will enhance high productivity, not only in Zambia, but also in the sub-region. I must indicate here that when we talk about the fertilizer blending plant, we blend fertilizers according to various soil types and also according to various crop types. You do appreciate, like for instance, the government has very high targets on the 10 million metric tons of maize, 1 million metric tons of wheat, 1 million metric tons of soybeans. We've already formulated blends for all these target crops, and we are ready to give the farmer the push that they need to produce a surplus that they can be able to trade.
Thank you. If I could just come back to you, Ms. Njogu. We've heard that with the increased amount of fertilizer that we're anticipating on the market, increased production, is there actually any benefit in the value addition of raw processed farm produce for export? Should we be looking to process to add value, or should we be looking to export raw farm produce?
Well, I think governments have already declared what we should be doing, including the African Union ambitions, one of which is value addition across all our value chains. The first thing is integration of the regional value chains. Once we integrate, and I'm glad to hear Zambia has a state-of-the-art fertilizer, we are importing a lot of fertilizer from outside of Africa. So if we can see who already has that kind of facility to supply inputs into farms within Africa, we consolidate expertise across Africa. We're even talking of having regional hubs. So if there could be a regional hub, let's say each region has a hub for fertilizer, for instance, just to start from there, and how we harmonize the standards of what kind of fertilizer would support our different soil structures and the different crops that we look to produce, especially staple crops that we are still importing either from within Africa or from out of Africa. So it's important we do value addition. Also for food security. For instance, I saw some dried mangoes out there. We have a lot of seasonal fruits, and we have seen that the seasonal fruits grow and mature differently in different seasons, different quality across, even within our country, Kenya, different regions have different qualities. So if we certify that these qualities meet the minimum food safety standards, they are safe for human consumption, and do similar across Africa, like getting testing labs that can, of course, certify what kind of content, moisture content we are looking for, product safety standards, requirements for labeling. If we can harmonize this, and we already have the Africa Quality Policy that is seeking to harmonize this across all the Bureau of Standards in Africa. I must say there's confirmation that they're already meeting, but those meetings now need to be implemented in terms of whatever has been agreed as the standards for different products, especially those that are common across. If maize from Kenya has been certified already as safe for consumption, the best that can happen if it crosses to Zambia or from Zambia to Kenya is just have similar standards with the regional testing labs that are looking at the same standards, and here you're just looking at the transportation effect, for instance, moisture content. And it's about improving how we do our transportation in a way that quality is not affected. Because at the end of the day, we want to have zero waste in terms of food loss. You know, we have a lot of food loss and food waste, which are also, it's so sad because in Africa, again, a lot of our people don't have access to food, or quality food, or nutritious food. So again, we must take agriculture very seriously. In the morning, we heard about 60% of Africa is arable, but I think it was said only 14% is actually being cultivated. Yet each state in Africa says that agriculture is the biggest contributor to the GDP. So I'm just thinking, if I look at, is it 15 or 17% of the 60% is what is making us proud of having the highest contributor to the GDP. What if we just moved that percentage to 40%? Then our GDP would double. We would not be talking of 3.4 trillion, we would be talking of 6.8 just by cultivating an additional 50% of the arable land, but in a more smart way. So adopting technology also so that we can have traceability across all the value chains in Africa. So our opportunity is huge, I must tell you. We must value add. I know the question was very specific. Should we value add? We must value add so that we can move our products from Cairo to Cape Town safely, and people can consume and nobody should go hungry, because Africa has enough food to support the whole of Africa. So let's look at different ways of making our food rich. I'm told here, you're already known for your meat. You dry your meat and it stays for so long. So even you can survive drought season when cattle are affected, and you can save your meat like that. So there's so much innovation already in Africa, but it has not been scaled, and we have not, again, made sure that it's available for more production. You know, people need to produce more, get higher yields, so that we have abundance in this wonderful Africa world of ours. Thank you.
Dr. Mainza, I could see that your spirit wanted to shout amen to what Mr. Njogu said. But before I come to you, allow me to just ask Mr. Mongo a question. Before I come to you, Dr. Mainza, Ms. Njogu touched on something very important. She touched on the percentage of arable land which is actually being cultivated. Now, I appreciate you may not have the figures at hand, but has NCZ done any projections on what they anticipate will be the impact of the increased production and availability of fertilizer on the Zambian market? How do you see agriculture in Zambia growing as a result of your increased capacity to produce?
Thank you very much. I think, like the previous speaker has just indicated, Africa has a lot of arable land, so we've not yet fully utilized our potential. And statistics coming out of the African Union and various other entities show that the utilization or the consumption of fertilizer in Africa is one of the lowest globally. We're talking about a percentage, quantities like 20 kgs, 50 kgs of fertilizer per hectare. We know very well, for instance, if you're producing maize, you need to utilize or to apply, let's say, 200 kgs of basal dressing and 200 kgs of top dressing. But for various reasons, mostly affordability and access, a lot of the farmers end up using one bag on 1 hectare, meaning they're using a quarter. And West still, in some cases, farmers use even 20 kgs instead of 200 kgs, which is 10%. So really, how on earth can you get a maximum yield or full potential realization if you are only using 10% of what you should be using? So NCZ's increase of the capacity from 70,000 metric tons of basal dressing fertilizer to 432,000 metric tons will give an opportunity to the Zambian farmers to utilize what is available. We've actually increased not just our capacity, but we have also increased our distribution network. We are up from 7 outlets in the country. Last year we went up to 48. Every province is represented. Of course, some provinces have a lot more outlets than others because of the very fact that there's a lot more agriculture taking place there. But this year, again, we shall increase more outlets. So we're basically taking fertilizer right to the doorsteps of the farmers. I'll give probably one typical example in Northwestern Province. There's one chiefdom that we've been working with, 40 kilometers outside of the Central Business District. But because the traditional leader there is very organized, we've managed to position an outlet right at the palace, and we've taken ourselves present there. And this is an area which produces 60% of the total production of maize in that district. There are 7 chiefs, and this particular chiefdom alone produces 60%. So the other 6 chiefs share the other 40%. So we've seen the potential, and we've taken our outlets there. We've got another, just to give another example, there were in Shindamo district, for instance, it's 86 kilometers going to Solwezi and 86 kilometers going to Chingola. Farmers had to get on a bus to go on a van to go and buy either from Solwezi or from Chingola. But what we said was there's a lot of agricultural activities happening here. We worked with one of the churches and said, give us a building, we'll use it as an outlet. And farmers celebrated because now they can just travel a short distance and they buy their they buy their fertilizer. So our increased capacity is definitely going to increase farmers' production in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I ask each of you to just give your closing thoughts, allow me to just come back to Dr. Mainza. As we stated, you are forcefully agreeing with Ms. Njogu's evangelistic message that we must add value. What is your department specifically doing to help farmers who would want to add value but perhaps do not have access to the means for value addition to their produce? Is there anything which the government, which your department is doing to help these farmers? And for those who are present here, where can they go and how can they access these services?
Thank you very much. There's plenty, but allow me, I'll get back to that question. I would want to add a bit to what Madam mentioned, and as well as MD Chanda here. So I want to put a bit of numbers to some statements that yes, Africa is endowed with a lot of natural resources, plenty at our disposal. But it's, I think, about just the leadership, organization, and the utilization of these natural resources that we have. You may wish to, I know these are moving figures, but I think it's been on record that as Africa, we import not less than $10 billion in terms of food. Okay, and where do we import? Meaning it's Africa as a continent. So meaning we are getting it from other continents, where you find that there are these smaller countries with limited, land where they can do agriculture. It's always water bodies and the like. But then we need to begin asking ourselves and say, where do we miss it? When we have a plenty of, stable land, water bodies to be able to be doing irrigation, farming activities, then where are we missing it? Then also, we might also wish to note that we're saying that the agriculture sector and agribusiness sector is projected to reach about, it has a potential value of, yes, it has been projected to reach $1 trillion by the year 2030. But these are projections that must be in tandem with the frameworks in order to reach a $1 trillion by the year 2030. There are certain frameworks that we need to, abide to or adhere to. But then we're also saying that currently the sector generates approximately about $280 to $313 billion. This is the agriculture sector we're talking about. Yeah. Now, we have enough resources. There are countries that are actually land linked. We are linked with one another. There are areas that sometimes we begin talking when we say, let's look at our neighbors as potential off-taker, okay, to the kind of agricultural commodities that we produce. And then that's how we intend to be doing trade or rather agricultural business. We have, for example, there are platforms like the African Continental Free Trade Area, which was pronounced and adhered to by most of our head of states. But then I think this is where now Africa needs to sit and start looking at ourselves, introspection. How many of the 54 nations have actually, those that subscribed, how many are implementing, adhering to the TORs for African Continental Free Trade? Yeah, so I think we are quick at coming up with frameworks, but implementation is another. So it comes down also on how we conduct the agricultural business activities. So we have the potential. Now, I think we might brag today. I don't know, I will not be the right person to brag, but he should have done it. That so that Kenya can also...
He's a humble man.
He's a humble man. But I'll brag on his behalf, coming from the ministry, that, look, today Zambia, we are one of the countries that actually could be sitting above what we produce in terms of D-compound, NPK. We have United Capital Fertilizer. We have our very first one, the NCZ, Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia. These two combined, they are now producing more than what we can actually consume. Hence, now they have actually started exporting to neighboring countries, into Congo, DRC, Namibia, Botswana. They are taking after saving us. We used to be threatened with NPK during those days because we used to import a lot of fertilizer from Russia. Our colleagues are fighting, but they are producing industrialization. They've made it serious. But then we have also now realized of course, the leadership have actually now made it clear. If you listened very well to Gregory when he was making a presentation on ZDA, he was very categorical. I liked how he spoke, because he only spoke to the sector for agriculture today. The incentives which are there. The zero rated, if you're bringing irrigation equipment, agriculture equipments like tractors, for irrigation center pivots, you are not going to be charged anything. Why? Because we want to promote, an increased productivity and production for the sector. So those are certain incentives. I'm now even answering your question. So those are some of the incentives which I've actually put as government, as ministry, to try and just, motivate the farmers, those that want actually to go into farming. I was just mentioning outside to others that agriculture, we know that some time back they used to take it that it's a sector where one needs to take their investment when they retire from civil service or from any form of employment. But then I said, jokingly but serious, I said, when you are retired, it means that you are also tired, isn't it? So now, how do you go into a sector which is over-demanding and you want to inject your last drop of resources in a sector where maybe if you are not using irrigation, it's rain-fed. You are not in control of the water or the rains. And then if there is climate change, now we've seen the effects, we are facing the effects. You cannot control that. So there's potential or possibility of losing all your resources. And at the end of the day, we know that usually it becomes quite fatal. So it's now that we need to make agriculture actually lucrative, okay? So that we can attract more of the youths, men and women, to move in when you still have energy, because it's this time that we need them actually now to produce and then be able to feed ourselves. And then we always mention that Africa must be self-sustaining. Yeah. We only reach that self-sustenance if everyone else is engaged, either at household level or contributing at national level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While you're still holding the microphone, allow me to ask you in 30 seconds, is there anything that you feel the people present should know about how your department can help farmers, especially with regards international trade?
All right. With regards to trade, domestic or international trade, I would want to inform the colleagues that are here that we are no longer, that kind of a department or ministry where we are, they'll be telling us that you are inconsistent when it comes to policies, agriculture policies. We are very objective now. So when it comes to trade, like I just mentioned, that we've allowed anybody who's willing to aggregate the commodities, maize and any other commodity which is actually in excess. The only thing you have to do is just follow procedure. Acquire the permit. You can go to we are actually digital, the Zambia electronic single window. You can move there and then make an application and then you acquire your permit. And also it's not something which is beyond reach. It's affordable. It's not cheap, but it's affordable, so that we can actually support one another. You will be generating the revenue, you will be growing at the household level, you'll be growing as a company, and you'll be growing as a country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mongo, in 30 seconds, if we're to have this same panel discussion 3 years from now, what do you anticipate would have been the impact of NCZ's increased capacity on the agricultural sector in Zambia?
3 years down the line, we should have catalyzed Zambia attaining a very high level of agricultural production. Why? Because, like I indicated, we've procured a state-of-the-art fertilizer blending plant, which is able to make custom-made or tailor-made fertilizer to suit various soil types and various crop types. That's going to be a very efficient way of farming, applying just what you need and not excess. We also have state-of-the-art laboratory where now we are able to test soils, samples. Remember, not long ago, commercial farmers would put soil samples on the plane to South Africa to go and have them tested, and they had to wait for 14 days to get the results. You can drive down to Kafue, we do the soil tests, and we give you results in less than 2 hours. I don't know how more efficient you would want that to be. Thank you. And finally, we've diversified. We are producing spray races because we know that the government has set a very high target for export of beef outside of Zambia. And one of the key drawbacks for cattle farming or livestock farming is when you have fleas and ticks invade your livestock. And we know that deep tanks are not the most efficient ways of dipping cattle. We've got a spray race, right? If you go outside here, I think just around the corner, you'll find our spray race at the Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia Limited stand. Very efficient, very affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Njogu, when you step off the plane in Nairobi, what is one encouraging thing that you have garnered from your interaction with your Zambian colleagues that perhaps you can take back and teach people in Kenya?
First, the biggest opportunities that we speak the same language. We have the same ambitions. We all value agriculture. Isn't that a lot of similarities? We all want to grow. We all want to do business. And I've come with a delegation of 29 Kenyans who want to do business, and I hope you can go to that stand. So I'll not be the only one stepping down in Nairobi to give stories. Make sure they also have good stories to give. But one thing is clear, the demand for agricultural products is high in Zambia, in Kenya, and in Africa as a whole. And if we have a big demand and a population that is ready to consume these products of very high quality nutritional products, what is stopping us from engaging, from doing business together? We're also saying we want to move away from just farming and supporting local consumers, building local brands. We want to grow into building African brands. I'm happy to hear you have serious targets for beef. It starts with targets and vision. Let's see your beef in Kenya, labeled Zambian beef. Also, we have a lot of beef ourselves and leather and many other products that can come here saying Kenyan. And then once we are combined, we say Africa, made in Africa. So the opportunity is huge. And I'm calling upon all stakeholders in these sectors, whether you're a processor, whether you're producing, in the farm, your outputs, or you're a transporter. There are some gaps in storage. For instance, we import peanuts from here, from Malawi. Sometimes when they get to Kenya, we hear they have aflatoxins, and when they were here, they were okay. So we see there's a storage issue which is combined with transport, and it's for our own safety, and nobody wants to make a loss. So to make sure we are all profitable in what we do, we need a strong ecosystem that is delivering value across the entire value chain, so that we are all profitable and enjoying to produce for Africa. And some nations in Europe, they produce, they're just about 4 million population, like one I know called Ireland. But their ambition is to produce for the world. Agriculture is their biggest revenue earner on Forex, producing for the world. But in Africa, Kenyans, we're happy to produce for Kenya. Zambia is happy to produce for Zambia, instead of for the world. But we are saying, let's first produce for Africa, then produce for the world. We have the capacity, we have the land, we have the resources, and we have a youthful population that is a strong labor force. I've seen that also Zambia, we could almost be seen to be from the same family. We are speaking, the same way, even accent. I'm yet to pick an accent that is uniquely different. I feel like we are just speaking with the same accent. So what is stopping us from engaging competently and taking advantage of the competency within both countries? You connect SADC to East Africa, we'll connect you to SADC or the other way around. Because you also host to COMESA. But we don't feel like COMESA is vibrant. We are now talking Africa. Others have introduced tripartite. Yet Africa is a big story. COMESA must also succeed because it has been there for many years. So those are the questions I'll be asking Kenyans and holding them accountable. How much are you taking advantage of COMESA? Have you even gone to Zambia, to the headquarters, to see whether COMESA is delivering for us as you sell your products there? But also just to close, I'm proud of the companies. You have talked about pests. We have a very big company, we have Catherine smiling there, that can work with you. Please let's engage the Kenyans who are here. They are serious in terms of the business and the capacity they are bringing here to partner with you. I encourage, please, moderator, encourage people to go and visit the companies who can give you inroad to many other Kenyan people who can work with you here in Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you. So, reading, thank you. Reading between the lines, Dr. Mainza, Mr. Mongo, I think it's safe to say 3 years from now we can enjoy a T-bone steak in Nairobi, Zambian beef, and the bill will be on Ms. Njogu. I'd like to say thank you very much to all my panelists. Could we just give them a round of applause, please? I think before we step down, I'll just ask them to step forward so we can have a group photo, and then I'll hand over to the MC.